United States Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, Max Cordova and Crockett Dumas.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you very much for the opportunity to come here and talk to you. I am Max Cordova, president of the Truchas Land Grant. The land grant was given to us in 1754 by the government of Spain, 1829 the government of Mexico, and 1892 the government of the United States. Each time it was given to us, it got a little bit smaller. Most of the land is now managed by the United States Department of Agriculture through the National Forest System. In northern New Mexico, the national forests have been a battleground on the use of public lands. A war between public land managers, local communities, and environmental activists. On the Carson where I live, we have 32 unincorporated forest-dependent communities. In 1995, radical environmentalists went to the courts and initiated an 18-month injunction that closed the national forest to land-based communities and restricted the Forest Service from meeting any of our needs. Fuel wood needed to heat our homes and to cook our food, and resources to sustain our communities. Our children and the elderly were the most affected by the injunction. They became sick because there was not enough wood to heat our homes. We felt so angry that we went to the state capitol and hung our adversaries in effigy. Solutions to environmental issues were being decided by the courts, rather than by looking at the needs of the ecosystem, including those of people. None of the group's agendas were being met, and the overall health of the forest was lacking. Weary of litigation and bad community relations, we initiated a collaborative process identifying desired conditions that enhance the biodiversity of the forest and that sustain our communities. This process ensures that everyone is involved in the democratic process in management of public lands. Local communities, environmental activists, and the Forest Service are joined in a partnership to find solutions to problems we face in managing national forest lands. The Collaborative Stewardship Program has mobilized the Forest Service, the members of land-based communities, and the special interest groups to work together as partners in breaking down adversarial barriers and engage in cooperative management. The legal cycle has been broken, resulting in a better public acceptance of innovative, sustainable forest practices.
People have worked together to create a major shift in attitude. Decision-making behaviors move away from being authoritarian and autocratic to more convening and facilitating. Trusting relationships begin when people know they're involved in making decisions. Management focuses on problem prevention rather than problem solving. Full employee participation from the basic planning startup through implementation has developed a sense of ownership and pride in the program. Increased job satisfaction has motivated employees, and they feel more comfortable serving the public. There has not been a Forest Service project on the district that has been appealed since 1993. With the help of several locally based environmental groups, employees on the district have initiated a contract stewardship pilot project, which includes contracting crews from the Picaris, Pueblo, and the Truchas Land Grant. A community woodlot then retails the wood harvested by these crews. After hearing from the public about the effective results the district was having, Senator Jeff Bingaman held several field trips and roundtable discussions this summer to evaluate whether there ought to be legislation for federal land managers to adopt collaborative stewardship as litigation and a way around it for federal land management. Grazing permittees are taking open-minded responsibilities and are working with groups such as the Sierra Club to develop management options to improve forage conditions on national forests and to understand diverse values and reach consensus. This is a most unusual marriage between a traditional user group and a preservation-oriented organization. This year, almost $100,000 of funds have been contributed to improve wildlife habitat and watershed. The collaborative stewardship concept is being replicated throughout the Forest Service by the Pinchot Institute's Mobilizing People to Act workshops. Collaborative stewardship demonstrates that the overall health of the forest can be addressed while sustaining resources and social needs of existing communities and future generations. Taxpayers' dollars are now being spent on the Forest Service mission of caring for the land and serving people, rather than the costly appeals and litigation.
Jack Rosenthal.
Mr. Dumas, could you tell us apart from the generalized lessons that you just described, could you describe what it was that you did when you became the district ranger?
Well, the first thing I did was actually, I got on my horse and did some horseback diplomacy, I call it, and I ride around the community, and there was an organization there of what the local people refer to as hippies, trust funders, and half-humans. And they had an organization called La Comunidad, we speak for the community, and I wasn't hearing that from the community. So like most research projects, you start out with one goal and you learn a lot of things, but we did a door-to-door survey. And I did that, or we did that, just to prove that those 7 people didn't speak for the community. And what we gained out of that was a lot of respect. The employees came back, we divided up the communities, each employee went out to a different community. I learned to make tortillas, I had a party about every night I went out to visit. We learned that we were wearing the white hats. Employees came back feeling good. We developed a lot of trusting relationship. We immediately followed up with small projects that were initiated by the people and did it in the way that they wanted done.
There's another question here.
You,
yes, Antonia, please. Sorry.
Have you received support from the higher-ups in your agency, or is this sort of a localized endeavor?
Oh, you bet we have. We didn't even have a name for this. We didn't have a title on it. We had no signatures, no dates. It didn't take an amendment to change it. Anybody that walked in and wanted to put something on it or add it that was reasonably, we just put it in a computer and added it. And when the new chief came on board 3 years ago, he said, that's collaborative stewardship. So that's where our title come from. We didn't even know what we were doing. so Chief Dombeck, he said, that's collaborative stewardship. And then our new regional forester, Ellie Towns, came on. And she came on this summer, and she made that her platform that she was going to manage Region 3 by to change the way we were doing business. And she had it right in the Southwest Regional News. And today, the Forest Service chief, Ellie Towns, the regional forester, and my boss are meeting in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're talking about how they're going to continue implementing and replicating this in the Forest Service.
Lee?
I gather you have some skepticism about whether you can legislate the kind of relationships that you've established. What are your thoughts about if one wanted to spread the kind of relationships that you've managed to create? What are your thoughts about how one would go about doing that, spreading that?
It's a lot of fun, the big problem is it took me 50 years to learn what I have now, and the learning curve's been so steep the last 4 or 5 years I fell back on myself. But the thing that really makes this thing go is that we've developed a cadre of local people. All of you have seen the Milagro Beanfield War. We got people like the president of the Milagro Beanfield here. The cattle permittees, this is something. When you have the cattle permittees coming in saying those things that you've been trying to tell them as a great scientist or a bureaucrat, they're not buying it. But once a person learns to do that or they become converted, I mean, it's crazy. I'm having to bring people, they've gone the other way so far, I'm having to bring them back towards the middle because once they become converted, they're pretty hard on the group they just came from. So, we as scientists, if we sit in the middle of the room with all our great science information, all our education, all our knowledge, we will drown in it unless we find an effective way to engage the communities and the public all the way around. And this is the key to it.
And do you feel you could teach others how to do that?
Yes, a lot of things I visualize the Iron Curtain coming down. Some of the things I didn't even want to tackle on the district until I retired and was gone and they could handle it. These people are coming together. It's just like the Sierra Club. I used to have people write really nasty things about me, really nasty. I've been investigated by the Washington office. A guy walked in with a little badge here and they come out. I thought, oh, they're going to arrest me again. But, for my skullduggerous activities. But what we've learned from that is that, and we measure success, I haven't had anything bad written about me in 4 years. We've never had our office bombed. We haven't had any vehicles burned. I can't say so much for our neighbors. I don't have drunks calling up at my front door and blowing their horn and telling me what a scumbag I am. But it becomes fun. It really takes practice for us as line officers or district rangers or forest supervisors to change our management style from this militaristic thing we've grown up with 100 years as autocratic and authoritarian, and move that into being a better listener. Because we never know when we make a decision if we're hacking 51% off or 49%. But the key is convening those groups and let them come up with a solution on their own, and they come up with better solutions than we do, and then we get buy-in.
Mr. Dennis, I just have two quick questions. You don't have a twin brother named Alan Simpson, do you?
He's a pretty nice fella, isn't he? No, sir.
Could you just conclude with a word about the forest and what the impact is on the forest of all this?
Well, as you've known, in the National Forest, and probably most of you identify a little bit better with urban interface, our fires have gotten more and more intense over the years. I've been in this 30 years, and I never thought back then that we would keep having worse and worse fires and things. Urban interface is something that we're handling this way, and that is managing the fuels around the homes and places where there's property and higher values. And we've worked with those groups to where we let them work it out as a community on their own, and we'll go in on national forest behind their land, and we'll mark the timber, and we'll sell it to them, and they'll cut it for firewood. Those people that don't want to be involved with it, they don't have to be. It's producing products for future generations that the communities won't produce. And it's really true. We're accountable to Congress. And to give you another number right quick, our target this year was 1.6 million. And that's what we were funded for. We produced over 5 million in personal use products alone. That's just walk-in traffic. That's over 5,000 permits. That's over 50 a day during the field season.
Okay. Mr. Cordova, thank you very much. Mr. Dumas, we're sorry. We knew you couldn't bring your horse, but we hope you'll grace us with your hat again tomorrow.
You